Good evening. I'd like to go ahead and call our Board of Supervisors PM meeting to order for March 7th, 2023. And the first thing we have on our agenda for the PM meetings is the Citizen Forum, where anyone can come and speak on any issue that they choose to speak on, as long as it's not on the agenda tonight. So if you're here to speak at our public hearings that we have tonight for the parking restrictions or the comprehensive plan issue, please wait until we have the public hearings for those two issues. If you're here to speak on anything else, please feel free to come up and speak and give us your name, the magisterial district that you live in, and we'd love to have you come and speak to us tonight. With that, I'll go ahead and open the Citizen Forum for anyone that would like to come and speak. Just raise your hand and I'll call on you to come. Yes, sir. Come on up.
My name is Russell Ferguson. I've lived in this county all my life. My address is...
Yep. Can you get that microphone in front of you, Mr. Ferguson? And
where you want me to do it?
just right there to where she's trying to get you. It's on TV, so we want to make sure the public can hear you when you speak. Nicole, can you hear him? Go ahead, sir.
All right. My name is Russell Ferguson. I'm a resident of Culpeper County. My address is 5253 Jefferson, 5359, I'm sorry, and 5333 Jeffersonton Road, Remington, Virginia, 22734. That's an address that I put in when I came out of high school, because my mail came at 9 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock in the day. And the mailman suggested that. Now, here's some, I don't know how many years ago, all of a sudden I'm in Springfield District, and I live less than a half a mile from the post offices. And that seemed to be sticking for some reason. Mr. Rosenberg, I'm quite sure, is aware of it. And also seemed like land deeds that I put in effect when I was in high school is consistently changed in this county by neighbors, people that have bought family property, and on and on. Relatives that have sold property to that basically lost it, had the deeds changed by the people that bought it. Why? I really haven't bothered to find out why, but it continued to go on. And the neighbor that bought the house seemed to think he has like 30 acres, and he has 1 acre. A 50-foot right-of-way that went through the middle of that farm was given back to my father that took that house out of the farm. That has nothing to do with the farm at all, and that's what he bought. But seemed like he done bought my nephew's property, and he done took in all of my land, which is almost 20 acres. Seems like. At least that's what he probably thinks, and I assume that's what Mr. Rosenberg thinks. So I'm concerned. There's a huge problem going on here with black people's land in this county. And mine is not the only one that I've seen. I just don't have no reason to come up about it. You know, you can't move land. You can move addresses all around you want. So y'all figure out how you're going to tell God that y'all will move my land. And I'll be back to find out.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, anybody else would like to come and speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening, members of the board. Don Haight, Stevensburg. That is very disturbing if what the gentleman came before me said is true. Culpeper, prepare yourself for a 10 foot of snow tonight because Gary Deal and I finally agree on something. Today, to my surprise and delight, Gary said that he agrees with Chairman Underwood that the solar sites don't generate the revenue stream that a data center would. Mr. Rosenberg said we need farmland to raise food, not power. A few board members were discussed that we are still talking about these issues 5 years after it was pitched to us to save the family farm. They all agreed that it is nothing like what is pitched to us, the county, years ago. It was painful to watch the board stumble and flop around questions about reasonable ordinance as it relates to solar. We watched them basically agree that they need to cap on 2,500 acres, but everyone knows that that number absolutely means nothing. Why? Because the county attorney has told us time and time again that you cannot put a cap on solar. So please stop talking about a cap. We all know it cannot be enforced. The board also agreed that solar isn't feasible. That's why it's propped up by government subsidies. All but 2 supervisors agreed today that something needs to be done to reduce the solar invasion on farmland, but wanted more time to think about it. For 5 years, the citizens have informed the board to the dangers of industrial solar. For 5 years, they have been informed of erosion issues. For 5 years, they have been informed of toxics that they produce. For 5 years, they have been informed that developers will not live up to their word. For 5 years, they have been informed that when these funds run out, so will the developers. For 5 years, they have been informed that the CUP will be changed hands many times. Greenwood is in the process of selling their rights as we speak. So how much more time do you need? If you wait much longer, you won't need to decide because the decisions will be made for you. There is nothing else to think about. There's nothing else to research. There's nothing else to do but to vote and send suggested revisions to the Planning Commission. It's just that simple. The disturbing thing is most of you know we need a stronger ordinance but lack the courage to make the motion to make it happen. We just need one leader to make the motion to send these revisions back to the Planning Commission. It's just that easy. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. You all know it needs to be done. You all know the citizens want it. You all know it's best for Culpeper. One board member said that they believe that they should be able to do whatever they want with their property. Wrong. We have rules and regulations in this county. Why don't you think we'll have a planning and zoning department? Let's fire all the county employees, police, sheriffs, and turn Culpeper into the Wild Wild West. Wrong. Not on our watch. We have rules and regulations for a reason, a good reason. Our board today has some meaningful discussion as it relates to the solar destiny, but couldn't decide to make revisions and send it back to the Planning Commission. There are three types of boards: boards that make things happen, boards that watch things happen, and boards that wondered what happened. Please decide which one you want to be. May God continue to bless Culpeper County and its residents. I'm Don Haight. I'm here to stay. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Haight,
Yes, sir.
just for your information, based on your early kind remarks, I may have to rethink my position.
That's your option. You almost had me there for a minute. Love you anyway, Gary.
Anyone else? Okay, go ahead and close the citizen forum and move on to the agenda. Any additions or deletions to the agenda tonight? Or entertain a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, moving into general county business. The board will hold a public hearing and will consider adoption of an amendment to County Code Chapter 10, Article 5 regarding certain parking restrictions. And I'll go ahead and turn this over to our County Administrator, John Eggerson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the board. Tonight, we do have a public hearing advertised for a code amendment that affects the parking regulations in the county. Currently, Article 5 speaks solely to parking spaces reserved for disabled persons, and after coming through the Rules Committee and ultimately the board decided to advertise an amendment tonight to add some general parking restrictions. There are some 15 or 16 of them. I won't read them line by line, but Just as an example, this would prohibit parking on a sidewalk within 15 feet of a fire hydrant, within a marked crosswalk, blocking a driveway or a mailbox, and things of that nature. They are commonly found in many county codes. They're not found in ours currently, and this would simply allow the sheriff to enforce these fairly obvious parking violations. We don't see this often, and I don't think we're going to start seeing them, but there were some concerns raised about some of these things, such as blocking mailboxes, and we decided to go ahead and craft this amendment for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, John. Any questions for John or staff before we open the public hearing?
Just a brief discussion, not a question. I very much appreciate the Rules Committee looking at this. I had a couple of complaints in the Salem district. I think it's valid and look forward to hearing any public comment. Thank you.
Okay, this issue requires a public hearing, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing now for anyone that would like to come and speak about parking restrictions and the amendment. Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Open it up for a discussion or a motion.
Well, Mr. Chairman, fortunately, I'm not chairman, so that means I get to make motions. And so I move that we adopt an amendment to County Code Chapter 10, Article 5 regarding parking restrictions as was advertised.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay. All right, moving on to Planning Commission business. The Board of Supervisors will hold a public hearing and consider adoption of the 2023 Culpeper County Comprehensive Plan. Go ahead and ask Sam McLaren to introduce this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the board. Yes, we have the what I would call long-awaited 2022, now into 2023 Culpeper County Comprehensive Plan. We started this process, just a little background, in 2019. We're not that slow. We had a little thing called COVID that was a little hiccup in our public process that slowed us down quite a bit, but we got back and running with the Planning Commission in earnest in 21 and then again last year. And then the board has taken it up for the past several months in work sessions. Mr. Chairman, as you know, and you all have worked very hard on the draft that we have posted on board docs tonight. In a nutshell, I'm going to let Harrison run through this really quickly. We have a slideshow that just goes over each chapter, not in detail at all, just in a quick summary of what's there, goals, action items. But in a nutshell, it's, we hope, a condensed document to some degree from the current 2015 plan. We hope that it's more digestible than the current comprehensive plan. But most importantly, we hope it's more relevant to some of the issues that have occurred in the past 7 years, 8 years now in the area. And we have addressed some of the bigger topics that have come up in that time and that we hope we can prepare for the next 5, 10, 15 years. Mr. Chairman, this is a 20-year outlook document. We are charged by the state to review the document in whole at least every 5 years. It's a good practice, as we've discussed in recent work sessions. It may be better to do it sooner than that. And staff will be prepared to do that after tonight if it's the will of the board. With that, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Preman is going to go through these updates to the 2023 plan and go over a time frame. And that first slide that he'll put up will show the work that's been put in. And before we get too much further, the Planning Commission did a great job. We had a good reach out from citizens along the way for the past year and a half or better. We received a lot of feedback, and that's what makes this document what it is, what you're seeing tonight. And I'm proud of that effort that the community has put in, and hopefully we'll continue to see that community outreach and input along the way.
Thank you, Mr. McLaren.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors, thank, let us begin tonight with the quick little summary of the draft comprehensive plan. As Mr. McLaren had pointed out, this has been a very long process. We've had 13 public events regarding the comprehensive plan dating back all the way to November 4th of 2021, which was a virtual kickoff when there were still a lot of concerns regarding COVID and in-person meetings, launching back into in-person public engagement meetings starting that December of 2021. Over the course of the year plus, during drafting, we've held multiple in-person public engagement meetings, as well as facilitating discussion through email, which we have served as record, and through other forms of public engagement, such as online surveys and whatnot, to really ensure we have public, that this comprehensive plan is really reflective of the public. Moving right along, as Mr. McLaren had said earlier, we did aim at trying to condense the comprehensive plan from, I do believe, around 14 chapters of the previous 2015 version into a more condensed 7 chapters. While this might make some of the chapters a little bit longer, I would also like to add that we also added a lot more maps than previous iterations as another format to visually express what the county is trying to accomplish over the next 5 to 20 years. Moving right along is our first chapter of policy, which is the land use and development chapter. As an overview, this details the existing zoning conditions, such as the county's zoning ordinance, the zoning map, and other related policies. It identifies current and anticipated growth pressures and other land use concerns, and outlines the county's goals and policy objectives regarding future development. Up here, right now, you see a map of the existing land use of Culpeper County. This is based off of the county assessor's data using tax codes by the state of Virginia. As you can tell, an overwhelming portion of Culpeper County is in the light green and dark green, which is considered agricultural. Followed by that, you see a lot of dispersed single-family suburban categories throughout the county, followed by more dense clusters of commercial and industrial and educational uses in certain clusters, especially around the town of Culpeper itself. Moving right along, the way the comprehensive plan is formatting as a background, then problem identification, then policy recommendations, goals, and aspirations. So when we get to the second part of the land use and development chapter, we identified two primary concerns, which is rural preservation and then the lack of the attainable and alternative housing. For rural preservation, it's subdivided into managing growth generally, utility scale energy systems, and data centers. Under attainable and alternative housing, it's rising housing costs and elder housing. Moving right along to vision and goals. I forgot that my computer's not synced up to there, so I do apologize. Moving to vision and goals, our overall vision based off of interaction with the public, the Planning Commission, and with the Board of Supervisors during our many work sessions is to preserve the predominantly agricultural and rural nature of Culpeper County while providing opportunities for growth in identified areas at the appropriate scale. These are divided into 5 different goals. Each of these goals have objectives and then action items associated with them. For brevity, we did not include them in the PowerPoint. But regarding the goals, we have maintain a balanced growth approach, ensure that future utility scale energy system development does not significantly alter or impact existing surroundings, ensure that future data center development does not significantly alter or impact existing surroundings, support a diverse housing mix with a range of sizes and types, and to expand upon the existing cooperation between the town of Culpeper and Culpeper County regarding concerns related to land use and development. And just as a little overview of some of the policy recommendations that are in the comprehensive plan, I will first show you map 2-4, which is our future land use plan of Culpeper County. I want to highlight our legend has changed from the previous versions. First, I want to note that the conservation easements and open space is different from our 2015 version. This now only shows lands that are currently tied up in conservation easements or other open space agreements. Following, we have a new category, parks, to identify where our public parks are in the county. Moving right along, we have combined agricultural and rural into one singular future land use designation, considering that both the associated like A1 and RA zoning are designed for the agricultural community. Moving right along, just as the previous version, we have residential low and then residential medium high. As with before, we have commercial. As with the previous 2015 iteration, we have mixed use. We also, and industrial as well. Finally, two other new uses we have up there are institutional, which is land and uses done by the local, state, or federal governments. And then finally, we have the future Culpeper Battlefield State Park, which we were happy to receive data information regarding which lands are going to be preserved. Moving right along, we have identified future growth areas for where staff and in consultation with the public and the Planning Commission and in Board of Supervisors sessions saw ideal as where we want to try to focus and concentrate growth to preserve our more rural areas of the county. These areas are the Bragg's Corner / Eastern Business Area, right off of Business 29 and then Route 1529. Cleffinger's Corner, 211 and Rixieville Road. Catalpa off of Ira Hoffman Extended. And then Southern Culpeper along James Madison Highway. Just as a quick little overview of each growth area, Bragg's Corner, Eastern Business Area. Originally in the 2015 comprehensive plan, this whole, for lack of a better term, arrow shape that's bounded between the town and the highway was all shown as industrial. This now has been changed to show the medium-high residential development that is occurring on this parcel, which is an age-restricted housing. Mixed use on this central parcel that is in between Knowles Mill Road and Route 666. An additional mixed-use development right along, I already just forgot the road name, I do apologize. Along Bradford, I do apologize. Moving right along is the Clevenger's Corner area plan. This is more or less the same as it was in the 2015 plan, since this is a master plan development that has been on the books for a very long time. We just included it in the comprehensive plan just because it is a growth area, even though it's mostly already developed. Moving right along is the Catalpa area plan. While this wasn't quote-unquote designated as a future growth area in previous iterations, I do want to state that this residential low designation all along the interior of Ira Hoffman Extended has been shown in previous versions. Additionally, some changes that we do have are a little higher density residential right along the border with the town, as well as mixed use right along Rixieville Road and Ira Hoffman intersection. Sorry, I forgot words. Finally, we have the southern area plan. This area we included this in the comprehensive plan because this is reflective of the existing zoning in this area, even though it's primarily undeveloped. Part of the reason we wanted to draft this was to ensure that to communicate that we don't plan nor want to encourage development past the existing service area boundary line that you can see outlined here on the map. We wanted to heavily communicate that while, yes, there's by right development within that boundary along James Madison Highway and at the Wingspread industrial area, that anything beyond that should be kept as agricultural, especially since we're going to be having part of the state park down to the southwest. And then finally, just because it was a topic of major discussion during the Planning Commission stage and due to recent zoning cases, we included Brandy Station Elkwood area plan. So there are some significant changes that occurred here. Specifically, this whole internal area between Elkwood and Brandy Station was originally shown as, I do believe, a mixture of industrial and rural area in previous iterations. Based off of the comprehensive plan process, we've ended up considering this whole area just as agricultural and rural, sans for a few industrial parcels that already have by right zoning for such use. The other major change, as you can tell, is is a law of land for the new future state park that we have identified, and we'll update if new parcels are added. Moving right along to the next section is transportation. As a quick overview, it details transportation conditions such as functioning transportation corridors, accident hotspots, and alternative modes of transportation. It identifies current and forecasted traffic volumes in problematic intersections and corridors, and outlines the county's goals and policy objectives regarding future transportation projects. Regarding constraints and concerns, staff was able to identify traffic, such as projected increase in traffic volumes and future level of service as being concerns for the near and far term, as well as safety regarding crashes, and VDOT identified potential safety improvements and existing road quality. Finally, looking at our current state of bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, specifically around the town, and then also looking at how emerging trends could alter how the county might interact with transportation. Moving right along is just one quick map that is produced by VDOT showing potential safety improvement segments and intersections. This was part of the many different areas of data staff used to create their transportation plan, which I'll show in a moment. This highlights major problematic intersections and segments throughout the state of Virginia where they've seen multiple crashes and traffic flow concerns. Moving right along to vision and goals. The vision, based off of this whole comprehensive plan process, is to create a multimodal transportation plan that fosters the movement of people and goods in a safe and efficient manner, which promotes economic development while not unnecessarily disrupting rural areas, with the goals being to address key transportation infrastructure needs, improve the overall safety of the county's transportation system, elevate public transportation, facilitate the expansion of safe and effective bicycle and pedestrian facilities, and to prepare the county for upcoming and future trends. And as a quick little ending, this is a map of the transportation plan of Culpeper County, Virginia for the next 5 to 20 years. Here we identify the key areas, corridors, and intersections that should have priority focus in terms of VDOT projects and other transportation-related projects. The blue areas are basically areas that are in need of different policy options, specifically over in the Salem district, where we have multiple issues of existing or proposed roads and traffic and safety concerns. Additionally, we have corridor improvements such as Rixieville Road, where we're seeing issues of narrow roads, lack of shoulders. And then finally, we have intersection improvements based off of that VDOT map of where we see a lot of collisions and other safety concerns, such as along 29, both in the Jefferson district and in the Salem district, etc. Moving right along to environmental and historic resources. This details identified environmental and historic resources that are core to the identity of the county, identifies threats that pose a potential harm to the preservation and enjoyment of these resources, and outlines the county's goals and policy objectives regarding the preservation of these environmental and historic resources. As a quick little example of some of the background research done, this is an area of historic interest that was done through a 2008 historic study that the planning department conducted, just highlighting all the bountiful historic resources and areas of further investigation, specifically around the Brandy Station area and Stevensburg area. Moving right along to identify constraints and concerns, we have growth pressure and development, under promotion of environmental and historic resources, and preparing for environmental crises. To vision and goals, we have ensure that the environmental and historic resources of Culpeper County are respected and protected aspects of the county's identity, with the goals to increase the county's role in environmental and historic stewardship, work on creating a more environmentally sustainable community, and work on creating more environmentally resilient community. Next up is economic development. Details existing economic development such as economic statistics for different economic sectors operating in the county, identifies obstacles to economic growth in the county, and then outlines the county's goals and policy objectives regarding future economic growth. One key map from this section is our technology zones map, which is not dictated by the planning department, but is more at the discretion of the economic development department and the board of supervisors. I pulled this up because of a recent change that is to be noted is the Brandy Station Technology Zone has been removed based off of previous board action, I do believe. And there has been also expansion of the McDevitt Drive Technology Zone that now goes into the town of Culpeper in cooperation with the town government. Regarding identified constraints and concerns, we have facilitating the right kind of growth, maintaining agriculture as a viable business, and then site preparation for economic growth, leading to the vision of encouraging economic growth within the county while providing support to existing businesses and agricultural operations, with the goals to continue to expand the economic base of Culpeper County in a manner that complements existing businesses and county character, continue to provide support for the agricultural industry to sustain its viability as a business, and to promote tourism in Culpeper County through the support of existing destination businesses and utilizing existing environmental and historic resources. Next is community resources, which goes over just community facilities such as schools and parks, identifies potential barriers to the provision of adequate county services, and outlines the goals and policies related to such. There is only really one identified constraint and concern staff could identify, which is just growth and geographic spread. And this is kind of shown by our community resources map. As you can see, a core chunk of our community resources are clustered around the town of Culpeper. And depending on how development continues over the next 5 to 20 years, this may necessitate trying to address service concerns out in the more rural areas of Culpeper, depending on how growth is done, and also depending on facility needs and facility capacities. With our vision and goals, our vision is to continue to provide prompt and effective community resources while logically expanding and enhancing the related facilities, continue to operate and enhance existing community resource facilities, and to proactively prepare for the possible need for future facilities. Finally, our last chapter is utilities, which details community utilities such as water and sewer services, identifies potential barriers, providing adequate service, and then outlines the policy goals and objectives regarding this. There is only one identified constraint and concern regarding utilities, and as with the previous chapter, future growth creating capacity concerns. Here's just a quick map of public utilities in Culpeper County. For those who have not seen this map before, the yellow are electrical lines, the big power corridors, one down south around Stevensburg area and one up north around Jeffersonton. We also have some major gas pipelines that are in the county, both in the north and in the south. And then also, as you can tell by all those blue dots, a lot of different public water systems. And then finally, regarding visions and goals, the vision is to ensure that the county continues to provide efficient utility services that are necessary and beneficial to the citizens of Culpeper County, with the goals to continue to provide water, sewer, and solid waste disposal services that are efficient, safe, and sustainable, and to continue to expand broadband and internet access throughout the county in order to achieve universal coverage. And that is it for your overview of the 2023 Culpeper County Comprehensive Plan.
Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned before, we have advertised for a public hearing tonight, so if it's the board's will, we can get into that now, or if you have questions for staff, we're happy to answer those too.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Harrison? Questions for staff? Okay. This issue requires a public hearing, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing now. For anyone that would like to come and speak, please raise your hand and I will call on you to come up. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Susan Ralston, and I live in Stevensburg. I was not at the morning meeting or the afternoon meeting earlier today, but I did listen in, and I know we're all tired of talking about utility-scale solar, but I'm asking with you to just stick with me a little bit longer. We've been at this for 5 years, and we're almost there. I really appreciate the work that the board has done to this date, but I'm very disappointed that a motion was not advanced this afternoon to further strengthen the ordinance or the policy. And the reason I keep pressing is because Stevensburg has been on the front line and will continue to be on the front line until we get more provisions in place that make it clear that solar developers, what will and won't be allowed in the county. What we're missing in the ordinance is a density limit. Maroon Solar and Northridge Solar are reworking their applications now to comply with the new ordinance. Maroon, in its second application, submitted a site plan that was comprised of 3 separate 300-acre parcels as a workaround to the previous policy, and they're going to try it again. Northridge Solar is directly adjacent to Greenwood, effectively making that 1,000-acre project larger. We're asking for a density limit because we already know that developers are going to try a workaround to the 300-acre limit. And if you're tired of these solar applications like we are, then set a density limit that provides a clear-cut distance between projects. I suggest 2 miles for utility-scale projects. For smaller projects, PEC has suggested some excellent density language, but this is really important so we don't waste our time, your time, the staff time. Either the projects comply with the ordinance or the policy, or they don't. At a minimum, we need some language in the comprehensive plan that says utility-scale solar projects must not be contiguous. Developers like Maroon and Northridge should not be allowed to waste our time trying a work around the 300-acre limit. So again, let's stop wasting everyone's time and send a clear message by adding this non-contiguous language to the comp plan today. In the future land use section, I believe it's chapter 2, page 44. If you're really trying to help family farmers, don't let all the solar in the county be built in Stevensburg, because landowners in Riva, Catalpa, Remington, and Salem should have equal opportunity to build solar on their land, not just Stevensburg. And adding this non-contiguous language will help prevent Stevensburg from becoming an industrial wasteland. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else would like to come and speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Laura Rogers, and I find it kind of baffling why the county is designating certain areas for future growth in this comp plan that has not had any type of traffic study to understand the implications of such an influx of traffic for the surrounding road system. For example, the Niles Mill Braggs Corner growth area. The county wants to designate that area as mixed use, with anywhere from possibly 800 to 2,400 homes coming off of Niles Mill Road to Business 29 on one end, down to Rogers Road and Braggs Corner Road at the other end. Have you ever tried to make a left-hand turn from Rogers Road onto Braggs Corner Road? With the constant flow of traffic coming from the wood preservers topping the hill at 40 to 50 miles an hour, and cars coming the opposite way from the interchange. Now, this future growth designation would cluster even more vehicle volume at this intersection. Shouldn't the urban services boundaries designation be enough to show that this is where the county desires growth? The comp plan states that areas in these boundaries are suitable for growth, but then I ask, why does the current draft show another area for future mixed use around the Bradford Road area, but only a portion of that property is within that boundary. Bradford Road could not handle that added traffic, and I doubt Madison Grove would appreciate several thousand more vehicles coming through their subdivision every day. The citizens already spoke about growth in Culpeper when they filled out the comp plan survey last year. They asked the county to slow the growth, and this time we want you guys to allow that for consideration of your constituents. Let's not rush to give areas growth designations without having an appropriate transportation infrastructure plan in place, or at least get VDOT to study these areas, like the county is now doing with the White Shop area and the Riva Road area. And in closing, I do have a few comments about solar in the utility section. The board recently approved a solar ordinance that requires the 300-acre maximum size of a project. We need to make sure that these 300-acre projects do not grow into multiple facilities adjacent to one another. The comp plan must be firm in its language and belief that 300 acres is the maximum and that it does prohibit contiguous facilities. And while we're at it, let's make sure that each of these facilities are standalone facilities and not dependent upon other facilities to produce their energy. So to summarize, please make sure to get these items added into the comp plan. Prohibit contiguous facilities. Please note that there should be a maximum panel height of 12 feet. Reestablish a 50-acre maximum land disturbance, and please prohibit blasting. Now that the county is no longer accepting 2,000-acre applications, blasting should no longer be an option. This would be a goodwill gesture to the communities near these projects to promote their health, safety, and welfare. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening, members of the board. Don Haight, Stevensburg. Please review your comp plan and see how many times the word agriculture is used. Please pay very close attention to the sections marked vision and goals. I see the word agriculture used many, many times, over and over. Please use common sense and add density levels to your comprehensive plan. If you truly don't want sprawl, then you will do this, because that would eliminate sprawl. But just like the previous speaker spoke today, is that it seems as though you don't want to help farmers in totally Culpeper, only farmers in Stevensburg. All farmers are hurting. Came in today, and you're talking about, helping the farmers and promoting agriculture, but yet you don't want to help the farmers in Culpeper, don't want to help the farmers in Cedar Mountain. You only want to help select farmers in Stevensburg. And you always use the excuse that they must be near the transmission line. That is simply false. These small sites could be put anywhere. Just like Mr. Rosenberg has spoken many times here in this forum, is that these things were pitched to us to help the family farm. And small sites can be placed anywhere, not near large transmission lines. So if you really want to help farmers, then you will put some real strong language in the comprehensive plan and allow the verbiage in there so these things cannot be stacked on top of each other, because just like Maroon has showed you over and over again, they're just going to come back with another 300 acres and get it approved, and then come back with another 300 acres, and then come back with another 300 acres, and come back with another 300 acres. And I'm going to say 300 acres until my time runs out, and come back with another 300 acres, and come back with another 300 acres, and come back with another
Mr.
300
Haight,
acres.
that's enough.
Because you cannot stop them, because there's no language in there to stop them from coming back with another 300 acres. Then they're going to come back with another 300 acres, and they're going to come back with another 300
Thank you,
acres.
sir. Thank you.
My time is not up. The green light is still going. And to come back
I'm
with
going to
another 300
implement
acres.
the code of conduct right now, because we don't have time for this, sir.
You don't. I am required and
Sir,
allowed to speak for 3 minutes.
Please finish your thoughts
I
and sit
am
down. Okay?
allowed to speak for 3 minutes uninterrupted. And I did not,
Please finish your thoughts, Mr. Hay, please.
I am allowed to speak here for 3 minutes. You-
Not discounting that, I'm just asking you to abide by the code of conduct and finish your thoughts, please.
The code of conduct allows me to speak for 3 minutes uninterrupted. Not one time did I cause harm to you, not one time did I say a disparaging word to any of you. I'm just speaking I'm asking to be allowed to speak without interruption. Everybody before me has spoken without interruption. Why is it that you chose to speak to me and interrupt me? That's the question I'm asking you. You chose to interrupt me in my 3 minutes. These are my 3 minutes. These are not your 3 minutes.
Mr. Hay,
I am
finish your
allowed to
thoughts.
speak
I'm giving you time now to finish your
if you
thoughts,
be
sir.
quiet and allow me to speak.
Could you please sit down, sir?
Well, shows, I'm glad this is
I'm gonna
being
have to
recorded because
get
you
assistance
interrupted
for you
me
to sit down,
when I
sir.
had my 3 minutes.
Please, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come and speak? Yes, ma'am.
All right, Sarah Parmalee with Piedmont Environmental Council. Piedmont Environmental Council would like to thank the board and the Planning Commission and the Culpeper County staff for their hard work on the 2023 Comprehensive Plan. Over the past few years, we have seen you listen and take to heart concerns of the citizens who care deeply about Culpeper. We sincerely appreciate your efforts to acknowledge the value of Culpeper as an agricultural community and to work to increase the visibility and viability of agriculture as a key economy in the county. Acknowledge the importance of historic communities and take steps to shield them from inappropriate industrialization. Acknowledge the economic, historic, and community benefits of the future Culpeper State Park. Thank you for hearing our comments and the comments of the community. Before you approve the comprehensive plan, we strongly recommend that you include language to limit the density of utility-scale solar projects. It is unfair to expect a single district to burden 2,400 acres of utility-scale solar. Currently, the district most at risk for large-scale solar development is Stevensburg, but Cedar Mountain also has transmission lines running through it, and landowners in that district have received substantial offers for solar leases on their property. Moreover, if new transmission lines are built to bring more power to Northern Virginia, which is inevitable, pressure from utility-scale solar could shift to new parts of the county. Including limitations on solar density would also act as a deterrent for inappropriate developments and potentially save the county a significant amount of time and effort. There is currently nothing in the county ordinances or policies to prevent solar developers from submitting multiple applications for adjacent 300-acre projects. Even if the board does not approve these projects, these applications will still consume significant staff time, the time of the Planning Commission, the time of the board, and the time of the citizens and the communities that will be affected by these projects. Finally, having density limiting language in the comprehensive plan would also support any future changes to the solar ordinance or policy whenever those may occur. PEC is a supporter of solar, including well-designed and appropriately placed utility-scale solar. Utility solar projects should not come at the expense of prime agricultural soils, forest land, water resources, historic resources, and parks. We strongly encourage you to add this language to the comprehensive plan before it is approved.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Deezy Campbell, and I live in Stevensburg District. And I brought my trusty 2015 comprehensive plan because I love it. It reads easily, and you can become part of the process and understand more about the county than you might want to know, but the interesting facts are necessary for most of us to understand our unique Culpeper County, because it really explains about the landscape. It's definitive and creates a sense of place. After this morning's work session regarding the industrial solar scale policy and the ordinance, I would like you to clean up those tidbits you were talking about today, but then I would like you to toss all of the utility scale stuff out the window and say, no, we can do it with smaller properties and not feed it onto the grid, because I keep reading all these documents that I send to you, which say that the grid isn't even ready for all of this that's supposed to happen, especially with this intermittent electricity. I would like to get Culpeper on the map for food and fiber, for tourism, because they come to look, to see, to play, to do, and eat, and then they go home. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Last call. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and open this up for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the job that staff has done in guiding us through this process. The process has been longer than one I'm familiar with, in part because of the COVID pandemic, but in part because we solicited a heck of a lot of feedback. I think there were mentioned the 14 different sessions of public feedback. We had several work sessions ourselves, and I'm appreciative of the comprehensiveness of the process. With that, I personally don't agree with everything in the comprehensive plan, and I suspect everyone up here agrees with that also. There are 7 of us, and we have 7 different opinions. That said, I remember 2 board members that told me things that I take to heart. One of them said, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. And another one said, the comprehensive plan can always be amended. You don't need to wait 5 years. You can amend it quickly. And with that, I would encourage us to make more amendments to the comprehensive plan in the intervals between the 5 years. But from what we've seen, we've gone through a long process. We've come up with something that overall, I believe is the best we can, or I'm proud of what we've accomplished through that process and support where we are.
Thank you, Mr. Underwood.
I totally agree. We did put in a lot of work. There was a lot of comments, a lot of feedback from both the public, from the Planning Commission, from ourselves. I know both Mr. Underwood and I submitted pages of comments, and they were incorporated very well into this. We do hear a lot more with our problem children of data centers and solar, but I do think that these are off to a great start, and I also agree that we should take more of a look at, as we get applications in, as things change throughout our zoning, that we should identify with probably most applications whether or not adjustments to the comprehensive plan need to be made as we move through these, as we see trends change and development looking at different areas. So I appreciate all of the work that the staff and everybody has put into it, and I think we have a pretty good start to a more living document than something that sits on the shelf for 5 years.
Thank you, Ms. Gugino.
No one else speaking, I'll make a motion that we approve the comprehensive plan as it has been presented.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay. Anyone else have any comments before we adjourn?
To adjourn.
Okay, we're adjourned.